Alright, in the unlikely event that somebody actually watches this video, I left off in the previous video with launching my moon base annex and then docking up with my orbital refueling station. Totally refueled all of my tanks and should be good to go. This base station is a living quarters annex. It's overkill like most of the stuff that I do. It has 3 hitchhiker modules for 12 Kerbans. It has 4 viewing cupolas for 4 more Kerbals. Uh, I have girders set for walkways to get to a viewing deck on top of that, so the Kerbals have something to do when they're bored. And then I've got 8 of the uh, passenger modules, the narrow passenger modules. Those are 2 Kerbals apiece here, and then I've got 4 more up here for a total of 12 of them, or 24 Kerbals. So 24 and 16 is a total of 40 Kerbal capacity on this. My mission was 9. So yes, overkill. I also needed to provide additional fuel, have power generation. The previous power generation should be fine, but just wanted to add some more. This part is going to be leaving orbit and going to moon. It should be pretty much uneventful. To do that, I am setting the target to moon. I'll have a ascending and descending node on it now. You'll note that it's 0 degrees. I did that on purpose with my refueling station. I set that in orbit so that it crosses over my space center and is on plane with moon. Eventually I'll be creating a second one that will have the same orbit as Minmus. So I can pick either one, refuel, and then without having to adjust my inclination, declination, just launch to the other moon, Minmus. Alright, so to do this, I am going to create a maneuver point on here, somewhere on the far side, away from moon. And project a trajectory here. Once it crosses the plane, I will have intersection points. You'll see that right there. I actually guessed pretty close right here. I will have a periapsis of 1.8 million meters. Not too bad. I want to get that closer, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the start of my burn so that I can get the periapsis down close to the planet, because I'll use that for braking. We'll have it pull us partially into orbit, and then we will fire our rockets to brake once we get there. I like to get down under 20,000 for my process here. It's a little tricky with something like this. There, 11,000. That's not too bad. I can adjust it as I get closer. Alright, this particular configuration is extremely heavy with all the fuel and modules and so forth. I'm powering it with 2 skipper engines and a long sail. That should give me plenty of thrust to get there. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is undock. And then I'm going to switch over to the right ship. And I'm going to move away from the base. I'm going to turn my SAS on so I don't. This thing was not designed for docking. The previous one, you'll see that it was quite a process to actually do the docking. We'll just move away from it a little bit here, so we're on a different trajectory. All right. Yeah, so it was quite a process to actually get docked. Now, with this one, since I did my maneuvering before I undocked, I'm gonna have to do it again, which is not a big deal. I'll get some practice anyway. Again, picking a position on the far side, extending in the prograde until we intersect the orbit. And then adjust. Another thing I like to do is I don't like to burn more than I have to. So once I get approximate area there, I will decrease my delta V, getting that number as small as possible so I burn as little fuel as possible. Doesn't matter so much in your sandbox modes, but if you're in uh, career mode, you want to save as much money as you can in that process. Alright, that would take me into an impact. Back it up just a little bit, adjust my angle a little bit, and there we go. A little bit more. 43, just a touch more. 16, perfect. Alright, so I'm ready to go on this one. On this one, I also have installed a robotic control module. I forget the name of it. It's the top one. Allows me all of my maneuvers. So I am going to go to my maneuver node right off, and I'm also going to extend my solar panels. When I'm going toward the maneuver points, I like to stop about halfway there because this game does not have a tendency to calculate the acceleration and deceleration. It just kind of accelerates clear through. And so if I change to stability assist, it'll start slowing it down a little bit. Another method that you can use is you can use the accelerate time. If you go into time warp, it'll stop your it'll stop where you need to be. Now I am a little, oh wait, I use target, not maneuver. Something is amiss. What is amiss here? Oh, I know what it is. I forgot to change my control point. That's very important. So I'm going to go into my ship here. It's actually in my in here in my bay. So I'm going to open the bay. I'm going to actually go to a stability assist instead. Yeah, don't always believe your instruments. Watch what you're doing. Make sure that you're actually looking at what you expect to see. And right up above the battery module should be, there it is. No, that's my RCS. Where's my robot? Oh no, that's not RCS, that's the robot. Control from here. There we go. Alright, now I have my maneuver point, and I can go to the maneuver point from here. Make sure to close this up. Again, slowing down my rotation partway there. Resume the maneuver once it balances out. When it crosses over the point, do acceleration. Alright, that looks better. I'm backing straight across the planet. About 15 minutes I'll be on the opposite side of Kerbal. We'll fast forward a bit, get there a little faster. When possible, I like to do my maneuver point instead of going orbital until I am approaching I also tend to do maneuver to next point and so forth. Now, since I have been out and back in to the game, I've been away from, or tabbed away from using these engines. You'll see that there's no estimated burn. You can get an estimated burn by momentarily engaging minimum power on your engines, and that'll show me that it's 2 minutes and 10 seconds for a burn. So I have to start my burn about 1 minute and 5 seconds before I reach the waypoint, or the maneuver point. Normally I would say warp to the next maneuver, but I'm not doing that in this case because warping to the next maneuver takes you to the 1 minute point, and I need a 1 minute and 10-second burn. Alright, now I'm also going to make a check to make sure my orbital station is behind me and not in my trajectory. I'm going to retract my solar panels. I bound one of the action keys to the solar panels, so I can just retract those. I always bind my solar panel controls to 1, so no matter what I'm doing, when I'm docking to something, all of my solar panels will be on 1, and it's a toggle, extend and retract. Okay. Alright, I am going to, since I calculated it as a prograde, I am going to use prograde for my maneuver. Should be coming up shortly. So I will be slightly off from, and there I use the warping to stop my rotation. Make sure my SAS module is engaged. I'm going to take the delta V, my change in velocity, from 890, a change of 834.7 meters per second approximately. Alright. little bit of lag here. And away we go. Everything appears to be functioning fine. I'm going to go to the map view. In this particular construction, I used an asparagus system. So the outside fuels tanks are feeding to the inside fuel tank. But I don't expect those to run out in a 2-minute burn. It's possible. I'll keep an eye on it. Yeah, I'm about to half, and my fuel is still over half, so I'm not worried about about running out of fuel. My goal is to get this stopped as close to 0 as possible, and then make minor adjustments. Alright, we're going to be off a bit on that because I miscalculated my burn. But we're going to be close there. I overshot my velocity, so I'm going to bring that back down a bit. Try to adjust it closer with that. Oops. Alright. I'm at 800,000. I'm going to adjust this out a little bit further so I have time to calculate the maneuver. And with this one, changing it, the farther I move along, the less effective my burn is going to be. So I'm actually going to use my normal and anti-normal change to adjust the angle down. And then if I can pull this back some more. Oops, too much. There we go. That'll work. This one I will go with maneuver. I'm not terribly worried about manually control it a little bit. I'm not terribly worried about the exact start point on this. I'll make any other fine adjustments in the end. And off we go again. That's fairly close. Alright. We're actually going to impact at this one, at this rate. So I'm going to calculate what would happen if we slow it down a little bit. There we go. so that's what we want to do. I'm actually going to just turn retrograde and do a slow burn to adjust the angle. If we do it right at the beginning like this, we don't need nearly as much adjustment as if we were doing it at the end. Again, using the acceleration technique to stop the rotation. There we go. I still have some fuel left in the outside. What I'll end up doing is ejecting those when I actually reach Moon, when I am attempting to drop into orbit. It used to be that if you left your SAS on during a warp, you would drain your batteries, but they fixed that, and so I still have plenty of battery. I am, however, going to extend my panels to top off my electrical charge before my maneuvering. And there's Moon over there. At this point, I'm going to warp into the sphere of influence of Moon. And there we go. At this point, I could have done this earlier, but I knew I'd have plenty of time once I reached the sphere of influence. I'm going to put a maneuver at the paraapsis point. I'm going to try to get it as close to the paraapsis as possible. And I'm going to do a braking maneuver, so I'm going to pull on the retrograde. And you see that'll drop us into a retrograde, or into an orbit. I'm going to pull this down, try to get a somewhat circular orbit out of it, and then we can adjust from there as to how to actually approach it. So at this point, the projected is 20,000, 96,000. Get a little bit there. 29 and 19. 17, 22. Get that last one under 20. 1621. I might need to adjust it this way a little bit. Did I go the wrong way? Went the wrong way. 17 and 20. 16, 20. Wrong way again. Alright, that should be good enough. Alright. Estimated burn is 17 seconds. It's actually going to end up being longer than that because well, maybe it'll be longer than that. I don't know that I have 17 seconds left in these. There are modules that you can put in to do that, to tell that, but I don't have those. Alright. I am going to, this time, since I have the time, I'm going to... There was a bug, I don't know if they fixed it, I haven't tried it, where if you tried to warp to the maneuver and you came in too fast, it would overshoot. So I have a tendency to warp in smaller increments. At this point, I'm close enough that I can actually warp to the next maneuver. Alright. I'm going to retract my solar panels. Beautiful shot coming in low over moon. Some people pronounce it mun, I pronounce it moon because it has the umlaut over the U. I'm going to start my burn around the 9-second mark. What happened there is, since I had docked and undocked and been away from the game and back into the game, the first time I pressed my space bar, it did not do the staging. So I had to hit it a second time to do the staging. Alright, there we are. We are now in a low moon orbit. At this point, I'm going to make sure to save my game. It's been pretty simple maneuvering to this point. Not that I didn't manage to botch it. Now, with this thing, right now, this is where I need to, where my base is, over by this crater. It's actually right there. At this point, it is evening, or not? Is it evening or morning? I forget which way it goes. I think it's early morning. It's either early morning or early evening. Whichever way it is, the shadows are not going to be good. I'm going to go down to the planet, double check to make sure I extended my solar panels. I want to do that so I don't use up all of my... And then I also like to do stability assist. That takes a lot less juice, and really it doesn't gain you much to do an orbital, retrograde, prograde, that kind of a thing, or locking it into normal radial and anti-radial. So I'm going to switch down to Moonbase Beta and see what it looks like. That's Alpha. There's Beta. The other part of this mission is to have 3 scientists on the station when I'm done. So I brought Bob along, although because I've got 2 scientists and a pilot on it right now. The sun is not up, or the Kerbal is not up. So I do not want to land at this point, mainly because it's a little bit trickier with the space station. I don't really mind landing in dark normally, but that particular station I don't have lights on. This one, I've got plenty of electric charge, which makes me think it might be sunset, not sunrise. I'll have to pay attention to that. Turn my lights on here. I usually keep the lights off so that they don't burn the energy, and they cause lag when I have all of them going at the same time. My frame rate drops way down. Recently had, well, actually it has been a while since I've transmitted my science, so I'll go ahead and transmit science. This one's a fairly old one, so my antenna is one of the, like the 2nd or 3rd stage. Takes a little time to transmit the data. Takes a lot of power. There we go. That's done. And then I'm gonna switch over to Moonbase Alpha here. This is Moonbase Alpha. This is Moonbase Alpha's flag, I think. This moon buggy has some history. This moon buggy is the one that I used to travel all the way around Moon. I drove all the way around Moon in the buggy with Bob and why am I drawing a blank? Bob and Bill, and they gathered all the science available on the planet, or on the moon. Meantime, oh wait, that's the flag. This is, oh, here we go. This is Moonbase Alpha, I think. Yes. Alright. So you should have some science here too. About the same amount of science. Transmit that. Same era. Has the same flags. Or same transmitter. Again, in my many light stage, you might have noticed on the orbital refueling station, my ORS, it had the same type of a configuration. I built that so that I could tell which side of the station I was coming into if I wanted to dock it at specific points. Alright, that has been transmitted. I'm going to switch back to my orbital. Actually, I'm going to switch to my moon lab. I don't remember if I vacated that one or not. No, I did not vacate that one. They should have a fair piece of... Yeah, 44 science. Should probably rescue them sometime. They've been up here a very long time. How am I doing on power? I think I should be okay with that one. This is my geosurvey. It's in a polar orbit. When they released 1.05, it broke a lot of my rockets. This one had my lateral connectors on here. I see that those actually are still connected, even though there's a gap space. I had 2 rockets fall apart on me completely, and then they changed how the mining drills worked, changed the dynamics on it, and so I was not able to use my my Minmus mining station. It became my orbital station. Alright, so I'm actually going to go ahead and toggle the overlay, but I'm going to set the cutoff at about 70–80%. So then when I look at the map view, I'll see where the highest concentrations of ore are. And you'll see right here, there's a very large concentration right in the middle of this one. I don't know if it's the same on all of them, but on this one there's a very high concentration there. So I have plans to put a mining station and fuel station here. Less beneficial than putting one on Minmus. Minmus is a great leap-off point for going to other planets. Right now I'm just actually checking out a bunch of stuff that I haven't necessarily looked at in a while, and I have a probe on the way to Duna. Hopefully it didn't get broken in the update. Well, we'll see. They did change the heat dynamics, so my rocket has been able to cool off. The new nuclear engines generate a lot of heat, um, but they've adjusted that downward some. I have 107 days until it's there. I tend to multitask my things. Drives some people crazy, but I couldn't see wasting 107 days going to the planet. Alright, I'm going to switch back. To my annex. Something broke. So I'm going to go back to the Space Center. Alright. That is what I had planned for this particular run. So, if you're watching this, I hope you enjoyed my quick trip to Moon. In the next later today or tomorrow, I will be doing a landing with the space station on Moon and then subsequently docking it to Moon Base Beta. Enjoy!